Jacob wrote this on the 25th of June 2021, the release date of Tyler the Creator's 7th album, Call Me If You Get Lost, the follow-up to the acclaimed Fantastic Eagle, which was actually Jacob's favourite album of 2019. The anticipation for Call Me If You Get Lost has been building with a level of excitement that surpasses that of any Tyler release so far, even back in the Odd Future Hypebeast days. With that said, in this video we are going to briefly overview how Tyler raps about love, focusing in particular on comparing the concept and perspective of Call Me If You Get Lost with those of Eagle. I want to ensure it is understood that this will not be an in-depth analysis given the amount of time we've all had to sit with the new album, but we hope it gives fans an opportunity to share in the mutual excitement of this new album's release. When promotion for the new record was in its earlier stages not that long ago, it became pretty clear right out the gate that Tyler was going to be once again basing his newest work on the idea of unrequited love and romantic triangles. Whereas Call Me is not as narratively linear as Igor was, it arguably goes into even greater depth on the subject, with Tyler largely dropping the pitch-shifted Igor voice and explaining the trials and tribulations of this romantic entanglement in as much detail as he feels appropriate. It feels all too easy to say that Tyler has been gradually opening up to his audience more and more with each subsequent album release. He has been a simultaneously vulnerable and fearless writer and performer since Bastard. The difference has not necessarily been in the quantity of personal details revealed, it is the tone with which they are being written about. Tyler's sense of righteous indignation and opposition to the status quo has not left, but he delivers that sentiment more thoughtfully than arguably any rapper or producer in the mainstream. Whereas Igor was an album permeating with sadness and rejection, Call Me handles a similarly toxic relationship structure with grace, gratitude and accountability. Tyler does not let himself off the hook for actively pursuing a woman who is in a relationship with one of his friends. At the same time, he acknowledges having learned from the experience and professes an ability to enjoy a platonic friendship with the person he seems to love. He repeatedly mentions that he and the object of his affection never crossed the line, without going into detail as to what that line actually is, not that it is important. Tyler himself does not seem to be too certain as to what the line is or should be. It is implied that the line never crossed is the line of physical intimacy, but the emotional intimacy the two shared, and the lies that were told to the woman's boyfriend to allow for that time spent together, is clearly enough to constitute some sort of affair. Another key difference between Call Me and Igor is that the former is celebratory, putting just as much focus on how happy Tyler is as it does on how disappointed he is in this failed relationship. There are various interludes where Tyler is rattling off his blessings, sharing hilarious moments with his mother, and reveling in his own artistry. He does not seem to be doing this merely to brag, however. This is an album that is about juxtaposition. The old cliche that money doesn't buy happiness is a dated one, but money's capacity to buy happiness has diminishing returns, especially when you think you have met the love of your life, but she is already in a relationship and wants to remain that way. One thing that remains a constant thread through Tyler's discography is his apparent love of pseudonyms, aliases and characters, which is something that feels like an element of a bygone era in hip-hop. Tyler's newest introduction to the Golf Wang extended universe is Tyler Baudelaire, apparently named for the provocative, aristocratic French poet of the same name. Tyler Baudelaire, like his 19th century namesake, cares for the finer things in life, particularly routine worldwide travel. This album is brimming with decadence and luxury. Call Me If You Get Lost plays like Tyler is attempting to escape his emotional problems by filling the void with material things as well as a constant change of scenery. He's brought DJ Drama along for the ride, who is consistently shouting inane lines to keep the hype high and the vibe solid. On Corso, Tyler reveals as much, about to spend millions just to fill the voids up. Drama, I need you, can you turn the noise up? Can you turn the noise up? Can you turn the noise up? I cannot escape the feeling that Drama's inclusion on this album is itself a commentary on his legacy as a glorified mixtape hype man. Maybe I am reading too much into that, but in any case, this is undoubtedly the funniest stuff he has ever said, which basically confirms that he is saying what Tyler told him to say. But getting back to the subject of love, Tyler seems his most infatuated on What's Your Name, wherein he is fantasizing about all the incredible things him and his love will do together before he has even learned her name. This one features the unlikely combo of Ty Dolla $ign and NBA Youngboy, each of whom maintain the song's theme of devotion and romance. Right away, Tyler hints at there being someone in the way. If you got a man, you should cut him off. Get your passport cause we're running off. Now compare this to Earthquake, the proper lead off track on Eagle. This take on Imperfect Love is much less hopeful and confident, with the refrain "Don't leave, it's my fault," leaving more of an impression than Playboy Carti's verse. Tyler Baudelaire is like who Eagle wishes he could be, but even then the ending is bittersweet. As I stated earlier, a decent portion of Call Me If You Get Lost is not directly dealing with Tyler's relationship woes. There are many songs where he confronts his older material, the media's warped and ever-changing perception of him, and the issue of racism in the United States. Tyler once again shows himself as an example of maturity as a process that never really ends. He acknowledges that his older songs included offensive, harrowing portrayals and certain terms he would no longer use in a song, but he has never tried to hide any parts of his past for which he may feel regret. Tyler transcends mass reactive outrage at this stage in his life, allowing him the ability to control the narrative around the lyrics he wrote when he was a teenager, when being read through a 2021 lens. Anyway, Love returns in a big way on the 10-minute two-parter suite I Thought You Wanted to Dance. Lyrically, this is not the most complicated song to analyze despite its length. The song opens with a skit wherein Tyler is on the phone with the woman he loves, trying to convince her to ditch her boyfriend for some quality time at one of his other houses. The first part of the song itself is the musical incarnation of the feeling of being madly in love. It's a tad cheesy, but it is undeniably wholesome. The second part of the song is where the illusion starts to break, however. Tyler's devotion is not returned in spite of the chemistry between the two lovers. So what makes you think I'm not in love? How could you know what's best for us? Why am I here standing alone? I thought you wanted to dance. Damn, Tyler, who hurt you? And well, before you know it, Tyler Baudelaire is living the narrative explored 2 years ago on Eagle. On Rise, he pleads, "Please don't go, please just stay." This is the hook on a song that is mostly about attempting to thrive through the pain. Again, if anything can be said about the crucial differences between Eagle and Call Me, it's that Call Me is a far more optimistic record, even through the devastating love sickness. The details really come to the forefront on the penultimate song, Wilshire, which is a 9-minute confessional with no chorus. It is one of Tyler's most diaristic songs, and it truly speaks for itself. There's nothing I could say at this point to even describe the experience of hearing it, so if you listen to only one song from this entire album, make it that one. It ties the entire theme together while leaving room for the album's actual theme, which appears to be more about self-actualization, self-care, joy, and gratitude. To bring it all full circle in terms of our goal with this short, casual video, Tyler is processing heartbreak much better than he was when writing Eagle. That album ends with Are We Still Friends, a song which obviously asks a question but does not receive an answer. It leaves the audience hanging, wondering if friendship is a possible or even desirable outcome of the album's narrative. On the other hand, the romantic arc detailed on Wilshire ends with Tyler breaking the fourth wall, essentially. He assures the audience that while this experience has left him broken and bruised, he will learn from it, come back stronger, and eventually look back on this as a concluded chapter in the novel that is his life. I know that this was sort of a structureless ramble, and perhaps a premature surface-level look at an album that demands so much more. So much can be said about the songs I glossed over, not to mention the musical component, which shows Tyler once again demonstrating his prodigious gift for production. Call Me If You Get Lost is a career-defining work, one that works in components of his entire discography to deliver one of the most emotionally satisfying and sonically brilliant albums of 2021. Don't be surprised if we return one of these days with a full hour-long video essay breaking this album down, or perhaps a full discography deep dive on Tyler's expansive catalogue. Until then, let us know what you think of the album, and thank you once again for watching.